Being just outside the camp at Halali, the waterhole is a lovely quiet place, just to start your day. On this particular morning there was hardly a breath of wind. We were sharing the place with a black-faced impala and hundreds of doves. Today's objective was to search the waterholes further east of Halali. No sooner had we got near to the entrance to Goas than a fellow traveller stopped to tell us there were 2 lions at the waterhole who'd got a kill. This was the sight that greeted us. We found ourselves looking at the rear end of a lion through a curtain of qualia. The lion, which turned out to be a young male, had quite clearly made a kill and was feeding on it before the hyena and jackal could steal it from him. At first he didn't seem to take much notice of the hyena and got on with his meal, but eventually, as more and more of the clan arrived, he clearly got disturbed. Having separated from his partner, he decided to do what lions do best, lie down for a rest. Trying to look through the thousands of qualia flying in front of us was actually quite difficult, and also distracting. Although he decided to move the kill further into the bush, he soon found himself entirely surrounded by hyena, and eventually gave up the struggle to keep his meal. The hyena and then the jackal made quick work of dismembering the kill. The waterhole is a very large and attractive area, but actually comprises 2 springs, one at a higher level than the other. While all this activity had been taking place at the higher level, there was still plenty going on at the lower level spring, where we could see both kudu and giraffe drinking. We spent the rest of the day touring the waterholes in the area before returning to Halali. The next morning we set out on the final leg of our journey to Namutoni. As we were passing right by Goas again, we thought we'd stop just to have a look and see what life was around. Having lost their kill to the hyena on the previous day, we were somewhat surprised to see them both there this time. It was obvious as we arrived that the lions had been lying together down by the water, but with the constant coming and going of traffic, and the temperature, which would rise to about 36 or 37 by midday, they've decided to go and find some shade. About 40 minutes further on from Goas is this rather lovely waterhole which became one of my favourites, called Calcule. We'd been sitting for half an hour just watching the bird life, when this giraffe sauntered up just in front of us, clearly intent on drinking, taking not a blind bit of notice of us, but presenting us with a somewhat rather unusual angle to observe it drinking. Despite the guidebook indicating that this is one of the most consistent places to see leopard during the dry season, we weren't that lucky, but we did see a lot of birds, including this rather colourful Rupel's parrot. In the absence of larger animals, these guinea fowl were having a wonderful time. About 15 kilometres from Calcule is Churop. It's a rather large waterhole with an island of reeds in the middle, which I should imagine from the air makes it look a bit like a polo min. We must have visited this hole 4 or 5 times over the 2 days we were staying in Namutoni, and it never failed to live up to our expectations of having plenty to see. But it wasn't just the numbers of animals, it's also the variety. Rarely is drinking ever a quick process for a giraffe, and this bull is no exception. He's taken a long time to get down to the water's edge, and now he's giving the water a very close examination, but it hasn't stopped him licking his lips before he's bent down. A few kilometres north of Namutoni is this rather attractive waterhole, just off the road that leads to the King Halali gate. At the time we visited, apart from the compulsory giraffe, we were joined by a fairly large group of kudu. But despite frequent visits over the 2 days we were in the area, we did much better at Klein, therefore smaller, Okavai, which was nearby. At the time of our visit, Fischer's Pan, which is named after a German lieutenant who was stationed at Namutoni in the 1800s, is bone dry. But the waterhole at Twee Palms, or Two Palms, isn't, and that's where we're heading. Being a little bit further off the beaten track, we've actually got the waterhole to ourselves, and we spent a very happy lunchtime just watching them drinking. But in this family group there are 2 young bulls who'd spent quite a bit of time just standing and staring at one another. When bull giraffe fight, they use their horns to inflict as much damage on their opponent as they can. and at first these two adolescents just stood there pushing against one another, but gradually the fighting got more and more aggressive. Having seen this fight, and now also having had the opportunity to see the wonderful filming on the recent BBC series about Africa, I'm more of the opinion that these two were simply testing each other, although it is a fairly brutal way of doing it. The adults did nothing to interfere, so presumably it wasn't too serious a fight, but eventually we thought they'd run out of steam. But that turned out to be just a temporary lull in proceedings. In total, these two had been headbutting one another for more than 20 minutes, but the arrival of a large bull elephant at the waterhole provided enough of a distraction to cool their ardour.